you're wake up one morning and just not recognize your own life. Like somewhere between all the routines, all the expectations, all the I'll figure it out later moments. You looked up and realized you had no idea who you were anymore or where you were even going. If that's hit you before or if it's hitting you right now, I need you to stay with me. Because this story isn't just something I'm telling you. This story is going to say back to you the thing you've been feeling but couldn't put into words. Don't skip. Don't scroll. Just stay. Let me tell you about a man named Ryan. Ryan was 34 years old, living in a modest apartment in Columbus, Ohio. From the outside, his life looked completely fine. He had a stable job at an insurance company, a decent car, a group of friends he texted occasionally, and a Netflix subscription he barely used. Everything checked out. Everything was adequate, but every single night, Ryan would sit on the edge of his bed after work, stare at the wall, and feel this hollow, uncomfortable weight sitting right in the middle of his chest. He couldn't name it. He didn't know if it was sadness. He didn't know if it was anxiety. All he knew was that it felt like he was standing in a fog so thick he couldn't see his own hands in front of his face. He'd been feeling this way for almost 2 years. He never told anyone, not his friends, not his sister, not even his therapist, who he had stopped seeing because he felt like he was just paying someone to hear him say, I'm fine in 12 different ways. So he kept it inside. He kept showing up to work. He kept laughing at the right moments in conversations. He kept posting things on social media that made his life look like it had direction. And every morning he woke up, drank his coffee, and told himself, today is the day I figure things out. But the day never came. Then one evening in October, something small happened. Something that should have been completely insignificant. Ryan was driving home from work on a Tuesday, same route he'd taken for 3 years. And at a red light, he glanced over to the sidewalk and saw an old man sitting on a bench outside a hardware store. The man was maybe 70, 75. He had a thermos in one hand and a worn-out paperback book in the other. And he was laughing, not at anything or anyone around him. He was laughing at the book, completely alone, on a cold October evening, laughing out loud with his whole body. Ryan watched him for the 20 seconds the light was red, and then the light turned green, and he drove away. But he couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, sitting on the edge of his bed again, Ryan kept seeing that image. That old man, completely alone, nothing impressive happening around him. No crowd watching him, no milestone being reached. Just a bench, a book, and genuine joy. And something in Ryan cracked open a little. Because the question that came to him wasn't, why is that man so happy? The question was, when was the last time I laughed like that? When was the last time I felt something that real? He couldn't remember. And that's when Ryan realized something that changed everything. He hadn't lost his direction. He hadn't lost his purpose. He had lost his permission. Somewhere along the way. Through years of doing what made sense, what was safe, what other people expected, Ryan had quietly, slowly stopped giving himself permission to actually feel his own life. He had outsourced his joy to productivity. He had traded presence for performance. And the fog wasn't confusion. The fog was distance. Distance from himself. Now I want you to pause right here because if you've been watching this and nodding along, I want you to subscribe to Deep Light Tailies right now. Not later. Right now, while this is hitting you. Because we put out stories exactly like this one every single week. Stories that don't just sound good, but actually reach in and touch the thing you've been carrying around. Hit that subscribe button. You belong here? Back to Ryan. The next morning, he did something he hadn't done in years. He woke up an hour early. Not to be productive. Not to get ahead on work. He made coffee, sat by his window, and just watched the neighborhood wake up. Cars starting, birds doing their thing, a kid across the street waiting for the school bus, kicking at a pile of leaves. And Ryan just watched. No phone, no podcast, no plan. And for the first time in 2 years, the fog lifted a little. Not because anything changed. His job was the same. His apartment was the same. His life, on paper, was identical to the day before. But something inside him had shifted. He had given himself 1 hour to just be a person. Not a worker, not a friend, not a function. just a human being sitting by a window watching the world. And that 1 hour cost him nothing and gave him back something he didn't even know he'd lost. He started doing it every morning. Some mornings it was peaceful. Some mornings it was hard because the quiet made room for all the things he'd been avoiding. But he sat with it. He didn't run from it. And slowly, over weeks, Ryan started asking himself questions he'd been afraid to ask for years. What do I actually enjoy? Not what am I good at? What do I enjoy? What kind of person do I want to be at 50? What would I do differently if no one was watching? What am I pretending not to want because I've convinced myself I can't have it? The answers didn't come all at once. They came in pieces, in quiet moments, in the margins of his ordinary life. And that's the thing nobody tells you when you're lost. The map doesn't arrive fully formed. It comes one small, honest moment at a time. By December, Orion had started writing again. He used to write short stories in college. He'd completely abandoned it because it wasn't practical. He started writing again at night after work. Nothing for anyone else. Just for himself. No audience. No pressure. Just the page and the truth. By February, he signed up for a weekend pottery class. He was terrible at it. He still is. But he laughed in that class. He laughed with his whole body. And on the drive home, hands still dusty with clay, he thought about that old man on the bench. And he understood something. The old man wasn't happy because his life was perfect. He was happy because he had stayed close to himself, because he had kept choosing over and over to live like his own experience mattered. And that's the thing about feeling lost. Most people think being lost means you're in the wrong place. But usually being lost means you've drifted from yourself. You're still standing in your life, but you don't recognize the view anymore. And the way back isn't a big dramatic transformation. It's not a sudden epiphany on a mountain somewhere. The way back is quieter than that. The way back is permission to feel what you actually feel. Ryan didn't fix his life in a week. He's still at the insurance company. He still has hard mornings. He still sits on the edge of his bed some nights and feels that weight. But now he knows what it is. It's not a sign that he's broken. It's a signal. It's his own inner voice tapping him on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, come back. You drifted again. Come back to yourself." If you're feeling lost right now, if your life looks fine from the outside but feels foggy from the inside, I want you to know that you haven't failed. You've just been so busy performing your life that you forgot to actually live it. And the return trip doesn't require a revolution. It just requires one honest moment, one quiet morning, one real question you let yourself actually answer. When was the last time you did something just because it made you feel alive? Drop it below, even if it was years ago. If this story sat with you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. It might mean everything to them.